Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another video. Today we've got a bunch of topics to go through. As you can see, things are a little different around here. Let me know what you think of the new setup. But let's move straight into it with the first news article. And we have Chelsea have offered Levi Colwill a new contract, but the defender wants to talk with Pochettino before deciding his future. Now, we don't know what the contract numbers are. Apparently it's a good salary and all that sort of stuff. But he's very much insistent that he will not do anything until he's had a chat with the boss. So this will be happening in the next week or so, I'd imagine. I think it said something about Poch starts on the 1st officially. On the 3rd, they're starting this, that and the other. So it'll be, a week or so until this probably gets settled. But he wants assurances over his playing time, basically. Pochettino is a known admirer of Colwill, as it mentions in here, so we know that he's probably going to be offering him a good role within this squad. Of course, we don't have Europe this year, so we're not going to have the need for a crazy amount of backup. You'd hope that we can manage our injuries and our fitness very well, but it does, raise the question. You got Thiago Silva, Badiashile, Fofana, Trevor Chalobah all wanting first team action. And then you throw Levi Colwill in there, who's the youngest of the bunch, so is likely, down on the pecking order. So it's understandable that he wants those assurances. Thiago's probably one that starts most games when he's fit, and then it's probably Wesley Fofana with him, I would guess. Badiashile, obviously a brilliant player that we brought in. So between those two, I think it's them two fighting for a spot. And then you got Trevor Chalobah, that's sort of one of the backups, and then Levi Colwill, who you'd imagine is the other backup. But I don't think it's a case of backup in that you're only going to play when someone gets injured, right? I think it's probably more the case of Levi Colwill and Trevor Chalobah will, rotate in here and there to make sure that the squad just stays fit. We are going to have FA Cup, Carabao Cup, so there's those things to consider as well. There is also talk in here that Brighton are still interested and they're willing to break their record fee. They've already made a club record £40 million bid for Levi Colwill. Of course, Chelsea rejected it, but apparently we're going to meet in the coming days to discuss Moise Caicedo and Colwill. There's obviously going to be talks about him involved here, so it's an interesting one. I'll keep you guys up to date with it, of course, but obviously my opinion is that Colwill has to stay, and that seems to be what the club are going with as well, so that's a good sign. The club are looking to keep Colwill for sure. Now, staying on the same sort of vein here, talking about defenders, huge new twist in Chelsea exodus as expensive Bowley signing offered to Bayern in Tuchel reunion, and as you can see pictured here, it's actually Wesley Fofana that has been offered, which to me seems crazy. I'm not sure I believe this article all that much, but it is in the news, so I will report it to you guys. But the reports are that he's been offered to Bayern, and obviously Tuchel knows him well, given that he played under him, and apparently they just cannot afford it. Bayern they've openly said, look, we like the player, Tuchel would want the player, but we can't afford to make any sort of deal like that, especially in their defensive positions, where I don't think they're too bad off at the moment. So, weird one, he joined for 75 million. Would we get anything close to that? I don't think so. Are the club unhappy with his development? Maybe, but I'm not too worried about it. I think he's not shown his best, but he's also young, and we had a very weird season, so I think there's plenty of opportunity for him to impress in the coming months and seasons, further down the road. I don't think he's one that we should be offering out by any means. So this one, take with a very large grain of salt. I'm not sure I believe it all that much, but it is in the news, so let me know. Do you think Fofana should stay or not? Then we also had the news from Ben Jacobs here that the club that were going to sign Hakim Ziyech have had red flags in his medical yesterday with his knee and his hip. No final decision has been made yet as to whether they will pull out of the transfer. He followed that up then by saying, as of now, the move is not quite 100% off, but it's heading in that direction. How frustrating. Chelsea just cannot seem to get rid of Hakim Ziyech, and don't get me wrong, on his day a top player, like he can really put in some magical balls into the box with that left foot, but often too predictable, doesn't really have the pace and the physicality to compete in the Premier League, in my opinion anyway. And the whole PSG thing in January, where it was all bottled on the last day, that deal never happened, and now he's gone and failed a medical that was going to earn him about, I think it was £1 million a week. He was going to be on big money, and that's no longer going to happen. It looks like the deal is going to fall through, so it's It's a shame for him, you know, he must be absolutely gutted right now. It's also a shame for Chelsea because, you know, we were going to get a little bit of money from him. I think it was only about 8 million euros. We were going to get his wages off the books, that was the bigger part, and now potentially he's going to be stuck at Chelsea for another season, or at least until January, unless someone else wants to sign him. So this one is so frustrating as a Chelsea fan. He's like a boomerang, you throw it away and it just keeps coming back. But nevertheless, we'll see what happens. There's still a long time to go in the transfer window, so maybe something will happen. Then we have Fabrizio Romano with the update saying that Cesar Casadei's plans are for the Premier League or Serie A football next season. He has 4 loan proposals from the Championship. The priority will be that kind of move. Final decision will be made together with Chelsea. So of course, I think he was out at Reading, was it? Previously, and has shown some really good performances up in the, was it under 21 Euros, I think it was recently, shown some really good performances, and even played against Andres Santos, another youth player at Chelsea, and I believe he got the top of it. They were both scoring, and I believe it was Italy that came out on the top there. But we have a little bit extra to add to this, and it's that Leicester City are one of the clubs that are interested in taking Cesar Casadei on loan. And that'd be an interesting one for me. Obviously they are a Championship club, and it says, you know, despite loans from the Championship, he wants to be in the Premier League or the Serie A, which is more what he'd be used to. I do think a Leicester loan would be brilliant. They've just lost Maddison, so they're going to need a midfield player that, you know, looks to go forward. He's definitely that, and it's only a loan, you know, it's potentially going to get them back into the Premier League. Not that we really care about that, but for him to be involved in a Championship season, so he gets to know English football a bit better again, and then potentially gets a team up into the Premier League. That's a really good bit of development for him. And Leicester are a really good, well-run club. Of course, recently not so much, given that they've been relegated, but in general, the whole thing, they got good training ground, all that sort of stuff. So I think this one would be a really good one. I really hope he considers it. But it does look like his plans will be to be in the Premier League or Serie A, and I'd also be very open for that. Maybe one of the bottom half teams in the Premier League would be a good option for him. So that one's interesting, but I do like the idea of that Leicester loan. And that's going to be the end of the video, guys. If you did enjoy, please be sure to leave a big thumbs up on it, hit subscribe and the notification bell, and you'll never miss out on a future video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.